Welcome into another episode of Depot's Den. I am your host, Evan DePasquale. I get it. Anybody of you who have listened to my podcast know that I have not been great on uh up doing podcasts. That's totally my fault. I don't, if you're mad at me, go right ahead. I totally get it. But today I'm gonna try not to get mad. If I do, don't blame me. We've got a huge problem on our hands with the Bills, and that's really what I'm talking about with today's episode. Is there is a huge problem with this Bills team. They have lost 3 of their last 6, including a loss to the worst team in your division and a loss. Honestly, you should probably have lost 4 of the last 6 if it weren't for a missed call on basically an untimed down. This team has not looked good. The Bills have lost again to the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, where they don't look like they are the best team. And that is a huge, huge problem. Like, what the hell is going on? This team used to be, when I did my last episode, I said back in the driver's seat, contenders of the AFC, best team in the AFC. And now a few weeks later, credit, there have been some injuries. You lost Tre'Davious White for the season, tore his Achilles. You lost Matt Milano with, I believe, like a knee injury. I don't really remember what it was specified as. And you have lost Daquan Jones for a long time with a chest injury. Those are 3 big pieces to your defense. Your offense is the problem right now. The offense is the problem for the Bills. They have not scored 30 points, at least, since that Miami game where they scored like 49 or 48 or something like that. They have literally been a huge disappointment so far to this season. And I hate it. I hate having to tell that my team sucks right now. This is not fun to do. I want to come on this podcast and say that the Bills are the best team in the AFC and they're still the chance. They still have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. After the loss to the win against Miami, you lost to the Jaguars. Now, credit, the Jaguars are a good team. You barely beat the Giants, who are arguably the worst team in football. You lost to the Patriots, who are the worst team in your division, and we were laughing at the fact that like Bill Belichick has lost his team, blah blah blah. And then you come back, you beat the Buccaneers in a team against a team you probably should have beaten them by more than just 24-18. And then you come back and lose 24-18 to the Bengals. Now, even though the score looks like it's a 6-point game, it certainly did not feel like it was a 6-point loss. It felt like we lost by like 14 or 10 at least. And it is frustrating as hell when your team cannot sustain drives. That's the biggest problem, is that your offense used to be your strength. Now it's becoming something that's like hurting you because you're not able to sustain drives and you're not able to stay on the field and be able to, if you need to, be able to, if you're like a double dip, score a touchdown and then come back at halftime and then score again. That didn't happen. That was one of the worst games I'd ever seen from the Bills. Are we seriously going to talk about that this team is going to miss the playoffs for the first time since 2018? It sure damn looks like it. It sure damn looks like it. And this schedule is not getting any easier. You have 2 somewhat softer opponents. You have the Broncos on Monday Night Football, which they're not really the best team right now. And then you got the Jets, whose offense just looks atrocious, but their defense somehow can still keep them in games and has them at 4-4 right now. Then you have the Eagles, who were just in the Super Bowl. Then you have your bye week. Then you have the Chiefs, who had won the Super Bowl. Then you have the Cowboys, who are one of the best teams in the NFC. Then you have the Chargers, who are, still a good team with a good quarterback. Then you got the Patriots, another softer opponent. And then you've got the Dolphins, who are still a good team, even though they haven't beaten anybody above a 500 record. So what is really the problem? The problem is that when they come out and they want to show you, we want to go up tempo, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And then all of a sudden you're not going up tempo. It makes absolutely no sense. Why would you say you're going to go up tempo and then all of a sudden I don't see you going up tempo? Oh my goodness. This is a serious problem with this offense. And I don't know if this is a Ken Dorsey thing or if it's a whatever. This needs to be fixed, because if you want to compete with the Bengals, with the Chiefs, with the Dolphins, you can't be only getting your highest point total being in the last 6 games be 25 points. That's just not going to do it. You got to, like, what happened? They lost their first game 22-16. Then they went 38, 37, 48. We were all thinking we're back, baby. We're back to the offense where what we expect with Josh Allen, and we're, beating the brakes off of teams. Right now, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that with this Bills team, and it is frustrating. Like, I would love to come on here again and say how this Bills team has been playing so well, and we're one of the best teams ever, and blah, 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 this, and blah, 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 that. But we're not. We're also really hurt on the defensive side of the ball. Your starting middle linebacker is in concussion protocol and could be, he might be gone for the rest of for next week. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing because you're going up against the Broncos. It's not like you're going up against Kansas City. Probably your best 2 defensive players in Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano are probably gone for the year. Your best guy in the middle, who was such a huge help to Ed Oliver's growth, is now probably gone for the season, or gone for a very long time with, a torn pec. But right now, this defense is still pretty good. This defense can win. They can't win you a game, but they can keep you in a game. They have not given up 30 points at all in this this season. Their losses, their opponent got 22 points, 25, 29, 24. So they're able to keep you in the games. Your only problem is that your offense, who is supposed to be your strength that we've talked about for so much, has not been your strength. That has been the most frustrating part about this, is that your offense is supposed to be this incredible thing, and your quarterback is supposed to be this alien, and it's just not. It's just not. They have become predictable. While watching that Buccaneers game, I was at the game. Obviously they won, which is nice, but it wasn't like a win where you're like, yeah, what a great game. The offense looked awesome. They looked awesome maybe for a few drives, and that's about it. And, it was nice to see Kincaid get his first touchdown, but the fact that it was a 6-point win is something we're just like, eh. And now you had a long week against the Bengals to prepare for this, and you again put another thud up on the board with only 18 points. Honestly, some of the best offenses that I've seen so far from the Bills have been where Josh Allen is having to play this like hero ball. He's having to play basically schoolyard football, put 5 wide receivers out there in the shotgun and basically take it upon himself to be a superhero. There's no structure when it comes to that. There's absolutely no structure. This is a huge problem. Having the struggles on offense is not good. It's just not. And I ugh, it's going to be a tough road. It really is. But again, we're only halfway through the season. There's still time. I don't know if the Bills are going to make the playoffs. If they keep playing like this, they're probably going to finish below 500. I know that's so crazy for me to say that I think that this football team that had 3 losses last year, they have now eclipsed the amount of losses that they've had. So, if you have a question or comment about what you saw from the Bills game or what you saw during the NFL season so far and what your problems is, leave a comment down below. If I see it, I'll get to it. Or you can just tweet at me on Twitter at EvanDepot2. That's where you can find me. And I really do think that this is a huge problem for the Bills, is that we need better on offense. First off, let me just at least give my props to this defense. They held Ja'Marr Chase in check, basically, and that is really good for one of the best wide receivers of the game. Now, T. Higgins ended up giving him, over 100 yards receiving. But you found other people other than your best players to beat you. And I think this is the formula for the Bills. What you need to do, you have your elite wide receiver in Diggs, that you got your quarterback in Allen. And now you have your tight end. You have your Kincaid, or possibly even could become a Kelsey, which I think he could be. Based off of what I've been seeing, I'm not going to get on him about the fumble. That was a tough play. He was flying in the air, and the ball was kind of in a vulnerable spot, and it just got punched out. There's, maybe be a little less aggressive, I guess, but that's what you want, though. You want to be aggressive. So it's not a great look, but I'm not upset about it. So I think that for me, what I really, wanted to, what I want to see from this team is just, it's just frustrating to see when this team so many freaking times can make you think, oh, we're back to what we were. And then all of a sudden, feel like one of the worst teams in the league. And I don't know if it's a coaching problem. I don't know if it's Dorsey. I don't know if it's McDermott. But man, it feels like it a little bit. I will say there were some positives. There were positives from this game, and basically going down and getting that first drive. That first drive is what you need to see. You know what it was? It was a pass, or how many ever plays it was. Every play was a pass play, and then all of a sudden they were like, you know what? We're going to throw it again, and Josh scrambles. He pump fakes, makes a guy jump, laughs at him, and scores a touchdown. And then he gets a freaking taunting penalty, which is probably one of the weakest things I've ever seen. I've seen Tyreek Hill put up the peace sign so many times and not get an unsportsmanlike foul. Like, what the hell? That's like such a weak call. And then to tack it on, you also have, a BS intentional grounding. It was just, I don't think it was an intentional. It was just a miscommunication. But still, I don't think that that's an intentional grounding. Now that moves them that moves in a field goal range, and now they got to punt the ball. If you want to give me a comment or what your thoughts, or what do you want my opinion on, can this team still make the playoffs, stuff like that, tweet at me at EvanDepot2 on Twitter, or you can leave a comment down below. I see my friend Natalie Malloy said hi. Hi, Natalie. I appreciate all that you do, and obviously go check out her show. It is a great listen. I definitely will recommend it. It's for the Bills. This is tough. It's just tough. But the positives are, Diggs continues to be Diggs. Led the Bills in receiving, looked great on Sunday, and had the really nice touchdown plus the 2-point conversion. He had 6 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. Kincaid looked great. I've been saying, Kincaid, he had 10 targets for 81 yards. He did have the fumble, but that's not really the worst thing that I feel like was the problem. For me, I feel like the biggest problem was not getting any turnovers. They got the turnover on downs. That was great. But they ended up getting no interceptions. I don't think they've had one interception since maybe the game in London. Tyrod didn't turn the ball over. You got the fumble against New England, and heck, I might not even know if the Bills had a turnover against like an interception against Jacksonville. And no, we didn't. We didn't have an interception against Jacksonville. So it has been since the Dolphins game that the Bills have gotten an interception. They've been great, but the problem is that they're not turning the ball over, which has been the biggest issue. The Bills need to get turnovers, and obviously, getting takeaways is going to be the biggest thing. So, Dane Jackson, he did really good against Ja'Marr Chase, who is one of the best receivers in the league. He held him in check. I thought that the Bills' defense as a whole, like I mentioned, the defense can help you stay in games like it did on Sunday, but it's not going to help you win the game. And it's a little bit frustrating. So, what are you going to do? All right. On to the Denver Broncos. That's your next matchup. Another one on Monday Night Football. We're getting to the point where 1 o'clock kickoffs are a thing of the past. Keys to victory for me to beat the Denver Broncos: keep feeding Dalton Kincaid the ball. It's working. He doesn't have to sub out for Dawson Knox, which is awesome. I'm not I don't want to say awesome, but you don't have to think about like him splitting time with Knox. And now we're starting to see that Kincaid is actually your tight end 1 and Knox is your tight end 2. And I think this 12 personnel is going to end. Play up tempo. Show me a sense of urgency. Show me that you're like, crap, we are 5-4. We're on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. We need to start stacking up wins in a row. The Bills have not won a game in a row since that Miami game where they were winning 3 straight. Since then, it's been loss, win, loss, win. Hold on. Loss, win, loss, win, loss. You cannot be able to sustain games like this. You need to win these next 2 games. Philadelphia, that's going to be a struggle. I don't know. Unless this offense shows me something different, I don't think that they're going to beat the Eagles. And Kansas City, maybe. The Chiefs' offense has not looked great. Neither has the Bills. So it all comes down to what I think the Bills offense needs to do in order to win this game. So hopefully that it could come down to being able to sustain, the drives and get long times of possession and score touchdowns. Give me touchdowns. I don't need these field goals. I want touchdowns. Be aggressive. In that Buccaneers game, they had fourth and like 1 or 2 on the plus side of the field so many times, and they were trying to do a hard count, trying to make them jump off sides, and they didn't. And then the Bills ended up taking a delay game and punting. Like, you can't do that. Be aggressive. Be the team that you were in 2020 or 2021, where you're just like, all right, we're going to go for it on fourth down, stuff like that. Be that guy. Be that team. Now, there was a point in time in 2021 where the Bills were 7-6. And then they went on this big run and ended up winning the division and looking like they were going to be a juggernaut, and almost, in my opinion, probably should have won the Super Bowl. All right. And so take advantage of a team that is a lesser opponent than you. Take it. You are better than the Denver Broncos, and it's clear and it's obvious. So take advantage of them and get pressure on Russell Wilson. I think if you get pressure on Russell Wilson, that's going to be helpful. I mean, getting pressure on any quarterback is going to be great, but especially this guy, because he takes sacks. He's been sacked 26 times. And of course, force them into turnovers, because I believe that if you get turnovers, that's going to end up leading you to a victory. All right. Before, as we wrap up this episode of Depot's Den, I'm going to go through my picks for Week 10 of the NFL season. The Thursday night game is literally what my colleague Derek Kramer calls it. He calls it a booty cheek game. The Thursday night game is a booty cheek game. The Bears and the Panthers. Not CJ Stroud. Oh, shoot. I did not feel like I learned a lot from what I saw from the Panthers. And especially after it just did not look good against the Colts. And I don't think it's gonna be the worst. I don't think it's gonna be the best. Bryce Young did not look good. He had 3 interceptions. So I'm still going to pick the Bears over the Panthers in this one. And I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be back. We'll see. I'm going to go with this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Patriots over the Colts. They kind of had some interesting fight against the Commanders. And I kind of foresee that, like, the Colts are kind of like the Commanders right now. So I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one. The Texans looked incredible with CJ Stroud. He looked awesome. But the Bengals right now are getting back into their groove. They just beat the Bills. So I'm going to have to go with the Bengals on this one. The Vikings, they put up a really great performance over the Falcons. I'm going to pick them over the Saints. I don't think that they're not going to make the postseason, but Josh Dobbs looks good, and obviously Kirk Cousins is out for the rest of the season. I'm going to go with the Steelers over the Packers. The Steelers just somehow find ways to win, and that is kind of annoying. And they're probably going to figure out a way to win this game over the Packers, so I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. Titans over the Buccaneers. This is probably another booty cheek game, I would have to say. Titans, Buccaneers. I'm going to have to go with the Titans on this one. I feel like Will Levis will have a bounce back game. I thought he played really well in his first start. I think he threw 4 touchdowns, something like that. So I'm going to have to go with the Titans on this. 49ers, Jaguars. I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one. I think that after a week off, they are still a contender in the NFC. They lost their last 3. I think this bye week really will help them. And especially, I think that now you got Chase Young with you. I think that that's perfect. I think that it's really this pass rush is going to be scary. I'm going to go with the Ravens Browns. I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. I think the Ravens right now are the best team in football. I think that Lamar Jackson is playing probably his best football since he won his league MVP. And I think that the Ravens are going to win the NFC North. And I would not be surprised if they end up going representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. Um, Falcons, Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Falcons on this one. The Cardinals are just atrocious right now. They do not look competent as an offense. They got blanked against the Browns, who hadn't gotten a shutout since 2007, over 10 years ago. So you got to be pretty bad to get shut out by the Browns. So I'm going to go with the Falcons on this one. Lions Chargers. This is actually a really good one. I kind of like this one, but I'm going to go with the Lions on this one. I still think the Lions are the best team in the NFC North, and I don't know if they're going to be a contender in the NFC, but I do think that the Lions have a shot, and I think that the Chargers, I'm still not sold on them, even with their win over the Jets, and their defense looked great. But any defense can really look good against the Jets because their offense just does not look good. Cowboys, Giants. This is an easy one. The Cowboys are going to probably blow them out again, and the Giants might be getting the number one pick in the draft and might be taking uh finding their replacement because now you have Daniel Jones out for the rest of the season. I'm going with the Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Commanders. I think that the Seahawks have looked pretty promising. They're a little bit up and down, but I'm going to choose them over the Commanders. And even though I said that the Jets have the worst offense in the NFL, I'm going to pick them over the Raiders just because I think that that defense can probably win them this game. And I'm not really sold on the Raiders just yet. I mean, they just beat the Giants, I believe, and that did not look. Yeah, they beat the Giants and they won 30-6. I don't know who's going to be really your starting quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably never going to be a starter ever in this league. And then finally, for the last game of the season, of the week, I'm going to go the Bills over the Broncos. I just think that the Bills are just the better team and they have the better quarterback. And I have a really strong feeling that now that the pressure is on them, they're going to be like, oh crap, we need to figure this out. We need to start winning games just like they did in 2021, where people were questioning, is this team going to make the playoffs? So we'll see. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Depot's Den. I appreciate everybody who listened. I will post this up on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you have any questions, just remember, tweet at me at Evan Depot 2 or in like the Facebook or the YouTube live that you're seeing this, whatever video you're watching. And hope that you can all tune in for next time. For Evan DePasquale, I will be signing off for next Tuesday. We will be having on a very special guest, someone that turns out his wife teaches at my alma mater, Sweet Home, Del Reed, the founder of 26 Shirts, one of the founders of Bill's Mafia. He will join me, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what to talk to him about the episode, and hopefully a Bills win on Monday night. So for Evan DePasquale, we will see you next time on Depot's Den.